Hello all and welcome back to Pragati Vichar Literature Festival's Authors Marathon 3.0. Today our theme for the day is marketing and the session's name is Building Tomorrow, Entrepreneurial Vision and Millennial Engagement. On the set of panelists, we are having Mr. Vivek Iyyani and Ms. Sonu Bhasin. It's lovely to have both of you for the session today. Let me introduce Ms. Sonu Bhasin first. So she is one of the early and senior women professionals in the industry. In her career of over 30 years, she set up and managed large businesses and diverse teams across financial and non-financial sectors in India and overseas. Sonu led various businesses in sector leadership positions during her corporate career. She began as a TAS, Tata Administrative Service officer with the Tata Group and spent 13 years with the group before becoming a banker. As a banker, she was a director at ING Bearings, President Access Group, Group President Yes Bank before going back to Tata's as a COO, Tata Capital Limited. Ms. Sonuji, it's wonderful to have you over the session today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, coming to Mr. Vivek. Vivek Iyyani is a founder and keynote speaker at Millennial Minds Pte. Limited. He is the author of the book Empowering Millennials, Engaging Millennials, The Millennial Leader and Marketing to Millennials. He works with large organizations to build a millennial friendly employer brand as well with industries of higher learning to impart the future ready skills for the workplace to the next generation. He has spoken at organizations like PayPal, Oracle, and Julius Baer. Vivekji, it's lovely to have you over the session today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. So now, as stated earlier, our theme for the day is marketing. And right off the bat, my first question to both of you would be: both of you have explored the dynamics of leadership in your works. How can entrepreneurial leaders, particularly those targeting millennial audiences, leverage effective leadership strategies to enhance employee engagement and foster a culture of innovation? So, even like in our workplace, we do have an culture where we foster engagement and happy workplace where we are able to encourage each other and move forward. So Vivekji, why don't you take us further from here? What is your take on this?
Right. I mean, to be engaging in terms of the younger generation, we first have to understand and speak their language. I think what's missing with a lot of the companies and in terms of leadership is that we have the my way is the highway mentality, where we've done this. Why reinvent the wheel if it's not broken, right? So the thing is, the world has changed so much over the years, right? Technologically, economically, socially, we have changed so much. So we have to take a step back and really look at what do the younger ones need in terms of leadership? What are they expecting from an organization? What are the expectations from management levels, right? And what do they want to see in a leader, right? And I think for that to happen, the leaders first must realize that what worked in the past may not work in the future, and be humble enough to maybe really listen to them and understand what is it that really excites them in being part or being in a team where the leader is very inspiring. So of course there are a lot of qualities that can be thrown out there, but I think the first step is to realize that, and to be humble enough to listen and be willing to unlearn and relearn, and see how you can then better lead the younger ones.
Right. Sonaji, your take on this?
So, I think I'm the oldest here, and therefore my views may be a little different from what Vivek just said. So, millennials are a very tough segment as employees because when people my generation joined the workforce, we were thankful that, an employer gave us a job. Uh, so, our attitude towards our employers was very different. But today, it is the employers who are grateful that the younger ones or the employees have chosen to work with them. There is such a fight for talent in the market that it is difficult for companies, corporate, family owned, family run, non family, professional, SME, big companies. It's the same thing. And companies actually sometimes don't understand how to keep the people engaged and motivated to work with them. So they try different things, sometimes they try and be extra nice to them. Sometimes they're very, very, give them a lot of sops, but they find that it doesn't work. My analysis of, I sit on various boards, I mentor a lot of young people, and my analysis based on my experience is that the youngsters today, the millennials today, are looking for leaders who they can respect, not because of hierarchy, but because they genuinely respect. It may be because of the work that they do, it may be because of their personality, it may be because of the way they speak, it may be a combination of a lot of things. But again, I go back to my generation. For us, it was a done deal that we will have to respect hierarchy. Today, the millennials are totally irreverential. I mean, they do not respect hierarchy because of hierarchy. But on the other hand, it's also very easy to keep them engaged, because at the end of the day, they are young people. A millennial would be, so if the earliest millennial was born in, say, 1980, so they are in their, mid 40s, and the younger ones would be in their mid 20s. Their aspirations are the same. Their aspirations haven't changed from the aspirations that people of our generation had. They still want to earn money. They still want to do work that is relevant. They still want to work in an environment which is conducive. They still have respect for family. So their aspirations haven't changed. It just needs to be channeled in such a manner where you are not seen as a hierarchical superior, but you cannot be their buddy as well. It's like my son who's 31, he's a millennial. He's quite clear. He wants his parents to be parents. His best friends and his buddies are different. He doesn't want his parents to be autocratic. He wants but he does want parents to behave like parents. So similarly, at the workplace, you can't have leaders who will try and be buddies with their millennial employees. There has to be a certain distance maintained, but at the same time, authority will not work. So I don't know whether that answers your question.
Right. A follow-up question to you would be like the change in the employees, like comparing to the previous generation. So the change, has it been positive or a negative side? What would be your take on that?
Both. The positive is that the workplaces are more open, they're less autocratic, they're less hierarchical. The con is that work, I may be taken to the cleaners for this, but work culture has suffered. This very healthy respect for work-life balance. There is a place for balance. You cannot have work-life balance every day. You cannot have work-life balance every hour. There are times that work comes first. There are times that life comes first.
Right.
But this whole culture around, life comes first and work comes secondary, I think that is a lot of hype and a lot of, I think Narayan Murthy talked about 70 hours of
Work week, right?
work week. Now, and, he was like trolled mercilessly. But the point is that leaders haven't become leaders by working 5 hours or 6 hours a day. They have put in that work. But it's not that you have to do that every day, 365 days in a year. But yes, you do have to put in hard work. And there are times that you have to put in that kind of work if you want to be more successful, if you want to be a true leader. You have to put in that work. So sometimes I feel that the work ethic has suffered because of everyone's focus on work-life balance and a little bit of mollycoddling. I mean, that's my view. It may be a controversial view, but I
Hmm.
sincerely do believe it.
Vivekji, your take on this?
Yeah, I think recently we've seen this terms come up quite recently, lazy girl jobs, and we've heard of the great resignation. We've heard of quiet quitting. All of these terms get popularized on TikTok or similar platforms, and they all tend to be saying the same thing, right? Which is we want to work in a place where it is conducive for us to have our mental health. It is conducive for us to have a certain level of work-life balance. They are promoting a career where you can have so a lazy girl job is something where I can have more time for myself, right? So there's a lot of desire that is being shown by the younger generation to have that, right? And of course, whether it is feasible or not, it varies from industry to industry, varies from country to country as well. So the key thing is to realize that there is a desire for this, and realize where we are at, right? And there are companies that are pushing towards this trend. They are moving towards. So it's, if you think of it as a spectrum, there are people at the one extreme end of the spectrum who have no work-life balance at all, and we have companies on the other side where work-life balance is an ideal, right? They are near to that ideal, right? So how do we then look at organizations who have moved right through their policies, through their different ways of bringing people together to achieve something that is desired, right? So that is an organization that is progressive. They see a vision and they push towards that vision, and that's what I think the younger generation want to see more of. Of course, does it mean that we'll achieve that status immediately? May not happen, but the push to think that how can we do this instead of no, it's not possible. If you do this, you're going to be giving up on X, Y, and Z. So I think that's what they want to see in leaders as well. They want to see that leader who's willing to experiment and willing to try it out. In fact, before COVID, right? When you talk about the 4-day work week, it was just pushed down as if it's a complete impossible notion, right? And today we see 4-day work week becoming the norm.
Hmm.
So is it a mindset trap that leaders are in, or is it just that we haven't seen enough role models in organizations who are actually talking about how we are helping our our teams to enjoy that work-life balance, right? So I think a lot of things go into this, but at the end of the day, we want to see leaders who are at the forefront, pushing for what the people at the end of the day want. They don't just want to work and slog it out, right? That's why all these terms like quiet quitting is coming in, because they say it's not worth it. It's not worth my mental health. It's not worth losing time with family. It's not worth not being able to go out and date, right? Because I feel like I'm losing out on other aspects of life which is also
Hmm.
meant to be enjoyed. I'm only in my 20s now, right? After that I'll be in my 30s, and things will change. So
Right.
that's also another perspective to consider.
Right, very rightly said. While I was listening to both of you, I could relate to certain aspect of both of your answers. At times we are talking about 70 hours work week, working hard, and there's also a popular term called hustle culture, where people are aggressively working towards whatever goal they are achieving. So one point that I would like to add into this is like that would be my personal perspective. Is if I find meaning in my work, I'm ready to work in number of hours to achieve it. Like if I'm working towards some goal or like some deadline, and if I'm finding meaning to my work, I'm ready to work, 7 hours, 7 days a week, 24 hours. Any that would be not an issue for me. What and that like that is in alignment towards this generation as well. They are trying to find more meaning to their work. They're not looking for a monotonous job where they're just simply sitting on a desk and 7 8 hours doing the same job, see, every work, every week, every month. So the generation is what I feel is more aggressive towards their work, and towards the extent that they also want to make certain change. So coming to my next question to both of you. So in a globalized world, businesses face diverse challenges. So, how can entrepreneurs, as highlighted in your works, adapt their strategies to align with global trends while remaining rooted in their cultural context? Sonuji, why don't you begin first?
Entrepreneurs focusing on global trends, but getting them to work in India is not something that is happening only now. I mean, India, even during the time when it was a closed economy, was different. And even after the economy got liberalized, we see more of the global companies coming in. Uh, Even then, there is a definite different way of working in India. And one of the examples that somebody gave me who was part of the Pepsi team. A lot of millennials may not even remember that Coke and Pepsi were thrown out in the late 70s by the Indian government, and we had our own local brand called Campa Cola and Thumbs Up. But just before liberalization, I think Coke and Pepsi did come back. And when Pepsi came back into India, uh, and when they were working out their launch strategy, Pepsi worldwide had signed up Michael Jackson as their uh, 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 brand ambassador, call it what you will. But Michael Jackson was a big phenomena, late 80s, early 90s, and he was being used in all their ads. And the India team, the India advertising team, there was Alex Kuruvilla, and he spoke to me on my YouTube channel. He recounted the story of how the Indian team convinced Pepsi to change their worldwide strategy and not use Michael Jackson in India. They used Juhi Chawla and A.R. Rahman, which was a big success. But right from the 90s, this localization of global trends has been happening. Even today, again, I don't know how many millennials will remember, maybe they were all kids and maybe they will, is that when McDonald's came into India, they realized they couldn't sell their beef burgers. They realized that there was a substantial amount of vegetarian population in India. So they localized something and they produced something which is called the aloo tikki burger. And then they also had spicy chutney. And I'm told that this spicy chutney has been exported to McDonald's even outside of India. So big companies do it. And these are two examples that came to my mind immediately. But entrepreneurs at every level have had to, if they do want to be successful, they do need to understand what works for their customers here in India, and they do localize it. They do. You can't take something that has worked in any other country and then just transpose it here and say it's going to work. There was again a lot of hoo-ha made about companies like Ford shutting shop in India and going away. And there were news articles that India market is not supporting them. India market will not support anyone. India market is a huge market, but the Indian customer is a very savvy customer, whether he or she lives in big cities or in rural India. So, Hyundai, who knew the name Hyundai? Nobody knew Hyundai in the 90s, and today it's the largest selling, one of the largest selling cars. I mean, they are there, they are here. Ford, which is a much better brand, has been driven out. That's because Hyundai understood the Indian market, and they used features, they localized features that appeal to India. So people do that. People, if they want to be successful, they have to localize and give their customers what they want.
Right. The example of McDonald's is something which we all read in our business studies classes. Like throughout my 11th, 12th, I definitely knew of this example and was waiting for someone to actually point it out. So, Udenji, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I actually agree as well. Today with data and with social media, right, we are actually able to really assess and understand how people are responding to different kinds of campaigns, ads, marketing, and that is actually a plus that maybe we did not have that level of data back then to a point where we can actually get it personalized data, right? So today we have got the technology up to speed so that we can get this done. So there's no excuse for us to not be able to localize, not only localize but also personalize to the individual, because you see, platforms like Netflix, they don't go by demographics anymore. They go by psychographics, right? If you like murder, then they identify other potential, shows that will have a similar theme to it. So that's really identifying the psychographic of the individual. So we have to we have to always take whatever is there happening globally and be able to translate it into a language that will speak to the audience in the local context, right? So I think that's definitely key, and I think marketers have to definitely adapt to that. I fully agree, and there's no excuse because today we have data, can run ad sets, right? Even a lot of podcasts today, right? Those reels that are being promoted on the social media
Hmm.
platforms, they are being tested on ads first to see which one is getting the most number of views and click throughs, and then they post it, right? So we have the data, we have the technology, so why not use it to our advantage?
Hmm. Definitely, this is really relatable and relevant to the younger audience as well. And when we're talking about just the global trends or the adaptability of entrepreneurs, a keynote into that is the employees as well. We all have to adapt and learn new skills. Coming when we're talking about global trends. Earlier, like during my schooling time, there was no one who heard of digital marketing. However, when I was in college, digital marketing was a huge thing. Everyone was talking about SEO, SMO, ads, and whatnot. So this is something that we all have to adapt to global trends and moving ahead as well. So with this, I come to my next question, which is somewhat a hot topic as well: sustainability. So it is a growing concern. So how can entrepreneurs integrate sustainable practices into their marketing strategies, appealing to environmentally conscious consumers while maintaining profitability? One good example of that would be the brand called Mama. With their orders, they link their orders to growing a tree per their order, which was a huge thing when they launched. So, Vivek, what's your take on this?
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to do it. I think the first thing that entrepreneurs can look into is UN's 17 sustainable developmental goals, right? And identify which ones are really relevant to the organization, which industries you are actually impacting, and which causes do you want to really focus on, and be part of organizations that actually help you with this. So there is this organization called the B1G1, buy one, give one, where when you make a purchase with that company, they will also, based on whoever they have, been associated with, if it's goal number 8, which is decent growth, economic growth, then they will do something for that cause, right? So if a customer buys something from them, then that organization will do something in relation to that UN goal, right? And that is one of the easiest ways for you to actually make, a lot of impact on things that actually help the planet, help the key areas that need help. So if water is an issue, clean water is an issue, and that's something that your organization is going to be focused on in terms of providing and contributing towards that, then make that part of this thing. So B1G1 is a really good example of an organization that makes it really easy, right? So all you have to do is sign up as a partner, and then every purchase you get a percentage then goes to the cause that you want to dedicate it to. And there's a lot of things that can be done, so it's really easy for organizations to do that because of services like this. And I think that's, it's just all it takes today is a Google search to see how can I actually add more value, right, through organizations. So this is one of the first things I think a lot of companies can do.
Right, Sonuji, your perspective on this?
So the good thing is that we as Indians have always focused on sustainability, and earlier it was because of scarcity. We've
Hmm.
all, I mean, there is no container that gets thrown in the bin, at least in India. Everything is reused, everything is recycled. We've grown up wearing hand-me-down clothes. Today, it's a big thing that
Hmm.
you can share your clothes with others. I mean, we've done it as part of life. And for us, it wasn't about sustainability, it wasn't about environmental friendliness, it was only about necessity and
Right.
scarcity. But we've always, Indians have always been, look in your own house. I mean, old clothes are used as dusters. I mean, you don't
Hmm.
throw away stuff. Old bottles are then used for pickles, and plastic boxes, ice cream boxes are used to store stuff. Biscuit tins. There was this whole thing around. I forget. I think it was on Instagram that they showed this old biscuit tin that was being used as a sewing. You had threads and needles, and
Hmm.
we are sustainable. So it is just that now, with more abundance coming in, uh, the folk, and these are buzzwords, sustainability and all of this. But at heart, the Indian customer, whether a millennial or not, is I mean, focuses on sustainability. Corporates could help that. So, for example, restaurants or hospitality industry could focus on it instead of giving these big portions. I mean, our portions are not as big as what you have in America. America, a whole family can eat by when they serve you one portion. But in India, uh, there is a lot of food wastage, and all the
Hmm.
restaurants and all the anyone who's into the food business has to do is to start serving maybe slightly smaller portions, give the customer an option of taking smaller portions, so that food is not thrown away. I mean, there are times that I have gone to, when I'm traveling and I'm staying at a hotel, uh, and I'm alone, and I ask them, can I have, say, half a pizza, because I know the other half is going to be wasted. And they say, sorry, ma'am, can't do it. Now, I know when I'm ordering it that, half the food is going to be wasted. So these are just a little bit of things that corporates can do to encourage more sustainability. Corporates that have that sell their products in plastic bottles, plastic containers, glass bottles, glass containers, can actually run campaigns
Hmm.
that show them being reused instead of being thrown in the garbage. So whatever any corporate does in India to promote sustainability, it will be understood and appreciated by the Indian customer, because the Indian customer does it as a matter of living life. I mean, there's no there's no big deal made about it. It's just part of life. You don't throw away things if you can find another use for them.
Hmm. Right. No, I could definitely relate with the aspect of hand-me-down clothes because
Yeah.
I definitely get a lot of clothes from my big brother as well. And with that as well, there's a recent trend called thrift stores. Where you can sell your newer clothes and the people can buy. Like that would be made in second-hand clothes. You could,
Yeah, I don't understand why we don't have these garage sales, or why don't we have more charity shops? When I travel to, especially in UK, uh,
Hmm.
on high streets, you have these lovely shops, and they have stuff that has been donated to them, and they sell it at a fraction of the cost. I mean, you can buy a good pair of shoes, branded shoes, for say
Hmm.
£2 or £3. In India, I don't know why we don't we don't have these kind of charity shops or garage sales. They would be quite wonderful.
I think with Indian consumer, there's a misconception of if someone is selling something, it might be
Effective.
defective. So
Or
that is a
dirty.
common misconception
Yeah.
that I think is with the Indian consumer. So moving ahead with our questions. So my next question to you would be: leadership and marketing are interconnected. How can entrepreneurial leaders effectively integrate marketing principles into their leadership styles, creating synergies that drives both employee engagement and customer loyalty? Sonuji, why don't you take us first?
See, marketing is Marketing to me is also selling is part a big deal of marketing. That's part of every employee's life. I mean, right from selling your idea to selling the concept to selling the idea of your boss approving your holiday during peak season, you have to sell, you have to sell, you have to market. And to be able to do that, you need to understand the behavior of the person on the other side of the table. And I think Vivek talked of psychographics. Um, it, some of it comes intuitively and some of it comes through a whole lot of data. To me, it's not only leaders who use marketing to get what they want. The best form of marketing, the best form of sales that I have seen are in these ordinary shopkeepers. You guys don't shop for clothes, I'm sure, or even if you go, you just go and you pull off stuff from the hangers, and then I think you spend 5 minutes. But women spend a lot more time in buying clothes, and I I would actually urge you guys to go with some female member of your family or your friends or whatever, and just observe the salesperson who's selling, say, a sari. Uh, that salesperson understands the customer in less than 30 seconds. And then you see the way that he sells the products. There were times that I really wanted these sari salesmen to come to my sales teams, these large sales teams, and give them lessons in how to pick up verbal, non-verbal signs, how to understand the behavior of the customer, what product to pitch to the customer, when to pitch the product to the customer. It's a misconception that, if you've made a purchase, that's the end. Your money is over. It's gone. But I think these people realize that the best time to pitch another product sale to a person is when uh, she's already decided to buy something and maybe has even paid up. Because this is where I will use what Vivek was talking about, psychographics. Uh, People have compartments in their mind. So in their mind, if they have spent, say, 5,000 rupees in buying something, it may have taken them some time to get the mind to agree to spend that 5,000. But once that deal is done in the mind, that 5,000 rupees is over. It's over. But the customer is in a buying mode. The mood of the customer is buying. That 5,000 is gone. They've forgotten about it. So if another product is pitched to the customer at that time, I don't have empirical data. Maybe Vivek, you guys should do some study on it and develop some empirical data. It'll be of great value to salespeople. Chances are that the salesman will end up with another sale. So marketing is an integral part of everybody's everyday life. A leader has to sell his or her concepts to the team. He has to get the team to buy into his target. He has to sell the yearly targets to the team, because you can't just give the targets and say, "Acha, jao, jaake kar lo." You have to actually convince them and show them how it's doable. How is it possible for them to achieve the seemingly impossible numbers? So marketing has to be done, and a good leader is one who is able to market so effectively that the people don't even think that they're doing something that the leader wants. They believe that they're doing something that they want, which is what you said, Atisha, that, if I love my job, I will work 7 days a week. Now, the challenge for a leader is how to convince Atisha that he loves his job.
Right.
And then the leader doesn't have to worry, because then Atisha will work 7 days a week
Right.
and achieve the targets.
Yeah, definitely. And so a certain part of your answer was in alignment to a strong advice that I got into beginning of my career. So a senior of mine said, like in your career, you should definitely have a sales job, like be it first 5 months, 6 months, but you definitely should do a sales job. You would learn how to sell yourself, sell different concepts in your later part of the career. And Vivekji, what's your take on this?
No, sorry, before Vivek,
Yeah.
let me just add to what Atishay said. You know, when I used to talk to management trainees, whether it was when I was with the Tatas or when I was with the banks, I used to urge them. I used to urge them that you guys are young. Please spend at least 1 year or 2 years in frontline sales jobs. Go to the branches, go to the depots, go and sell products, because what you will
Mhm.
learn in those 2 years will stay with you for your life, and nobody will be able to make a Mickey out of you. So even though I was part of TAS, I did spend time beating the streets and, selling various products in big towns, small villages. And as a result of that, I think I can say with pride that nobody could make a monkey out of me, even when I was running large consumer businesses of large banks, because I knew what worked at in the front line. Sorry, Vivek.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think I fully agree with ma'am as well. It's all about really understanding, what are the motivators of the people under you. So you have to have that sales mindset of how do I get this person to buy into the idea, right? How do you get them to buy into the idea that I want to achieve these targets and I want to be able to achieve these results, and m- make it intrinsic as well as extrinsic motivation, right? So a lot of people push you with carrots and sticks, which is very extrinsic. But when you talk about psychographic, it's all about intrinsic, right? It's about identifying what really appeals to this person. That's where the meaning comes in. That's where the need for impact comes in. It's where sustainability and wanting to do better for the world comes in. So if leaders can actually speak the language that is already going on in the person's head, i.e. the younger team members or the young generation's head, then it is a lot easier for you to sell the idea and to be able to get them to go from A to B. The thing is, if all the challenges you face with the younger ones makes you feel like I just can't get through to them, and then you don't take up the challenge of wanting to identify how do I speak to them, how do I really connect with them, then it is going to be an uphill task to get them to do it. So that's why I think the principles that we learn in marketing, when you learn to really utilize it and apply it in a leadership role, and really bank in on persuasion and influence, it helps you become a very powerful leader. So I fully agree.
Hmm. Right. So, an interesting question that came up in my mind. So, let's say, like, both of you are fresh in your career and you're just starting without the job. So, the first question that your interviewee asks you is, sell me this pen. So, how would you sell this pen actually? Vivek, why don't you begin first?
So sell me this pen is a yeah, it's always been the question to ask, right? So
Right.
the first the first thing that I would want to ask the person is, okay, so do you have can you make a signature for me? Can you give me an autograph? Right. So we create a need, right? Today, if we are able to create a need for the person and then get them to realize that they don't have a pen to make the signature, then that is one of the ways that we can get them to do it. Now, of course, there's a lot of context that go into why do you need my autograph or why do you need my signature, right? And then so that's where we build upon that. But the whole idea is to make the person realize that they are missing something. There is a psychological tension there, and I know I need this product to get to this result, to give the autograph or the signature, and then from there you can sell the pen. Of course, this is just off of my head. I'm just sharing that, but I think that's one of the key things that we need to go into. And of course, um, we should also look into other aspects to how to really then push the idea in a much more convincing and persuasive way.
Sonuji, your answer would be?
Actually, my answer would be completely different. And maybe I wouldn't have done it at the start of my career because I wouldn't have those kind of insights. But now, with hindsight, I think the first thing that would strike me is that suppose you are asking me to sell you the pen. So the first thing that I realize is that Atishay wants me to do something, right? So Atishay is trying to put pressure on me to do something. So I would actually put the pressure right back on Atishay. I would say, Atishay, I don't want to sell the pen. I don't want to sell the pen. Now the pressure is on you. Now you want me to sell you the pen. And now you have to convince me to sell you the pen. So I will use various arguments. I will say, no, I don't know, I can't. No, I don't know how to. You are going to help me to sell you the pen. And when, I mean, I haven't worked out the dialogue in my mind, but there will come a point where you will say, where I will ask you, will you buy the pen? And, you would be in the thick of things and you'll say yes. And then I'll sell you the pen. So basically, you have to understand why is somebody is asking you to do something. And then, I also was I also did judo in college. I was the captain of the women's judo team at college. And in judo, what we are taught is to learn the strength of your opponent against the opponent. So, there was this like 6 foot tall guy, big burly, but in the dojo, I could throw him over my shoulder because I was using his strength against him. So in any situation, especially when it's a selling stress situation, understand why the other person wants you to be under pressure and then put the pressure right back. And वो मुन्ना भाई MBBS में था ना, टेंशन लेने का नहीं, देने का.
Right. So actually, I've definitely taken down notes, and it would definitely help me in my next job interview.
I don't want your job. No, 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 no. Acha, I'll pay you more. No, 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 no. I don't want your job. No, please let me work. No, no, no. I don't want your job.
Right, definitely. So yeah, with this, we move on to our next question. So in today's dynamic business environment, how has the concept of marketing evolved, especially considering the impact of digital natives and the new normal post-pandemic? I believe some part of this question has already been answered by both of you. It's just that we will just quickly summarize this point. So Vivek ji, why don't you begin first?
Okay, so I would phrase it as stop marketing at people and start marketing to people. And what I mean by that is marketing at people is basically shoving information down their throats, right? And not really taking into account, the localization, the personalization, psychographics, right? So it's about doing, what has already been done before without really looking deeper into things, right? So not utilizing the technology we have today to use the data to understand the person, because a lot of the ads that the younger generation sees, they can very easily just tune off from those ads because they've seen it more. A lot of times they've seen the pattern, they understand what they are trying to do. So it is really critical for people to then step into how can I creatively do this, and that's why we see a lot of influencers working with brands to create content that doesn't feel like an ad. It is something because these influencers kind of understand the psychology of the individual, and they create content. And today we see that quite a bit, right? We see a lot of influencers, promoting content, and we can also tell which ones are authentic. I really believe in the brand and the product, and which are the ones that are doing just because they pay well, right? So you see a lot of celebrities, right, taking up a lot of promoting of products, but that feels like you're marketing at me versus the micro nano influencers who are maybe not that famous, but because they like the product and they vouch for the product, they say, hey, this is something, and they do it in a very organic, very real, very raw style of promotion. I use this product, this is the results I've got. If you're interested, just go check it out. right? So I think that's one of the key things that we have to kind of realize.
Right. This is actually really relatable, like being using Instagram like as a daily application. We definitely see a lot of ads is scrolling through our feed. And when we actually switch to television, where we see, actors like Shah Rukh Khan or Salman Khan, promoting that pan masala, which is known as kesar. I don't remember the name. Sorry, but we actually see the difference in promotion of a product through Instagram and like through any social media platform and through the means of television. So, Nancy, what's your take on this?
Uh,
Can I just add one
Yeah,
thing
yeah, sure,
before?
sure.
Like, so we all know Hrithik Roshan, right? And we all have a certain idea of who he is, what he represents. But it is very weird to see him promoting male adult diapers. But that's
he does that.
happening.
He does
There is an
that.
ad.
He does
There is
that.
an ad. There is an ad
I
of that,
mean,
right?
that
So
that
so
marketing,
why is
that
that's marketing
advertising
ad people?
agency should be shot. How can you have a Vivek Roshan?
Right,
Crazy.
Yeah.
I've seen the picture, and it is there is complete zero association between the two, and yet why is it happening, right? So that's actually the point that I wanted to make. So I just thought I'll just share that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It is actually, a really great point. And Sonaji, what would be your perspective on this?
Nothing more, I mean, nothing more to add except to just say that, whatever you do, make it believable. Uh, I mean, there is space for hyperbole and, ये डर के आगे जीत है kind of ads. But at the end of the day, people know what is reality and what is not. So if you're selling fantasy, sell it as pure fantasy. Don't try and couch it in reality. Uh, people understand when people understand the difference between uh, I mean, for want of a better word, reality and fantasy. But to counter Vivek's point about Hrithik Roshan selling adult diapers, I mean, I don't know how successful that brand is, but for the life of me, I can't understand why male underwear brands like Rupa and Amul or Gold or something, they have these big burly Bollywood stars selling it. I mean, it's totally
Hmm.
unbelievable, totally unbelievable. But the fact that they do it means that it works. So I mean, for the life of me, I can't understand that. Or Kareena Kapoor selling Magnum ice cream. I mean, look at her, size zero. I mean, for me, I said it's unbelievable that she would have like 3 Magnum ice creams a day
Hmm.
and still look the way that she does. But yeah, so I mean, there is something that I can't explain, but the ads have to be relatable.
Hmm. No, an interesting take on the Rupa or the male underwear brands, like the male dominant ads that you just spoke about. A recent example of, would be like if you have watched the movie of Amir Khan's the Lal Singh Chaddha, which was the
I
Hollywood
haven't,
remake of some
yeah, I
movie.
haven't watched it, but
So,
I've heard about
so
it.
in that, basically the Rupa brand was like advertised, and they associated Amir Khan's character with that, like how from streets he started off the brand, and then when he was actually successful, when he was the CEO of Rupa, then he was actually a really minimal and subtle character, where he was just walking around in simple footwear and wearing very minimal clothes and not being represented as a CEO. So I think the brands might be shifting their perspective of these kind of advertisement, and I think it is actually on a good or positive side. Now moving ahead. So with our last question for the day. So what do you envision for the future of leadership, entrepreneurship, and millennial engagement? And what advice would you give to aspiring leaders and entrepreneurs navigating the challenges of tomorrow? So Vivek, why don't you take us first?
Right. So advice, and what's the question before that?
So what do you envision for the future of leadership, entrepreneurship, and millennial engagement?
Okay, what do I envision for the future of leadership, entrepreneurship, and
Millennial engagement.
millennial engagement? Okay, so when it comes to the future, I think one of the key things that we have to look into is being agile. Like gone are the days where I've done my degree, I'm done with studying. This is the end, right? Today we are living in a world where it is all about keeping up with the times, right? AI has come in, we don't know what's next, and people are always, you have to be on your toes, and the ones that are the ones who are willing to lean in are the ones who's going to be benefiting from it, right? So if you think about it from an influencer's point of view, the ones who adopted the platforms, the early adopters,
Mhm.
right, managed to get a lot of followers really easily. Of course, the platforms definitely promoted that. So, but what we see there is that they were very agile. Instead of questioning, will this work for me? Is this going to be long lasting? And having a very critical mind about it, having a very agile mind, having an early adopters mindset will really help you as an entrepreneur. It'll really help you as a leader, and it'll really help you when it comes to millennial engagement, because this way you are being open to all possibilities, and you are learning along the way, and you are not with the concept of I cannot make mistakes as a leader. In fact, you're adopting to make more mistakes so that you can learn faster as a leader, as a marketer, as an entrepreneur. So I think that's the future. And we all have to learn to speed up in making mistakes and learning from it, and correcting course along the way.
Mhm. Right. So, is your take on this?
The future is bright. According to me, I'm an optimist. So the future is bright, and that is based on, uh, my interactions, my experiences with the youngsters, the Gen Z, the millennials. Uh, so the future is bright. Now, the advice for the young people, it's a very simple advice, and based on my experience, is that no matter what you do, just give it your best shot. That's it. If at the end of every day you can put your hand over your heart and say, I gave it my best shot, that is enough.
Mhm.
Because you can only do action, you cannot control the outcome, right? So you there are times when you do a lot of work, but the result is this much, and there
Mhm.
are other times when you do this much of work and the result is huge. So you really can't control the outcome, but what you can control is what you do. So whatever is the job that has either been given to you, or if you're a promoter entrepreneur that you are doing, just give it your best shot. If it means learning on the job, if it means going for specialized courses, learning from others, whatever it takes, but give it your best shot. The other thing the other thing that I have learned is hard work never goes waste.
Mhm.
The example that I give you, that you know I don't know if it's physics, I don't know what law there is, but all the effort that you're putting into doing something, it's going into some place. Sometimes the results are not proportionate to the effort that you've put in. But there are other times when you put in minimal effort, and all your past effort that has accumulated comes in and gives you a non-proportional return. So those are the two advices that I would give to people, that whatever you do, give it your best shot, and don't worry if the outcome is not uh, up to what your desire was, because remember, hard work does not go waste anytime.
Right. It actually motivated me a lot. And like an extension of this question would be, so what would be your advice? Like, what would be your advice to from your current you to your past you? Like, from current Sonuji, what would be your advice to your past you who was
My
just starting
advice,
off into the
my
career?
advice would be don't worry, be happy. Because when I look at my career, there wasn't anything that I did to plan my career. When I started my life as a TAS probationer, for the life of me, I couldn't dream. I mean, if somebody had told me at that time that I would be living the life that I'm living today, I would have achieved all the success in my career, I would have laughed. And I did not plan my career. So my advice to my earlier younger self would be: don't worry, chill, be happy, give it your best shot. Hard work doesn't go waste, and appraisals don't matter all that much. It's just like class 10 results mattered hugely at that time, but today they don't matter. Class 12 results don't matter, and therefore one appraisal doesn't matter. I mean, if you haven't got the top rating 1 year, fine, doesn't matter. How does it matter? Don't worry.
Right. Vivek ji, your take?
Mine is also going to be just let it go. you know so stop overthinking things. I think a lot of people tend to do that now. We overthink everything, and the art of letting go and going into a to be able to park something that's bothering you aside for a while and focusing on other things to learn to distract yourself productively is something that I think I would share with my younger self.
Right. So now I have one individual question for both of you, and just please feel free to add something to each of your answers if you want. So my first question to Mr. Vivek would be: collaboration is a key theme in your work. So how can organizations encourage a collaborative culture that not only enhances day-to-day operation but also serves as a catalyst for innovation, especially in industries experiencing rapid technological advancements?
Yeah, I think we see this in within organizations that have adopted open space policies, right? They basically believe that the more you have, random interactions with people from different departments, conversations start happening. You start, exploring new ideas. You start thinking outside of the box. So I think one of the key ways to do that is to provide an environment where more people can interact and cross pollinate and let ideas. I think a lot of ideas have actually popped up this way within Google and within a lot of organizations. So I think the key is to have that to provide that kind of an environment that allows for creativity and innovation to blossom.
Sonji, would you like to add something?
Not really.